Action!
It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, hands up. Yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome on in. Another edition of the Full Court Press, hour number 5. Well, it's 5 o'clock hour number 2. We've been here. It's a marathon. No, we've not been here that long, but 5 o'clock hour, and still time for you to weigh in on a variety of different topics. The Young Power Sports of Logan text line is always open. And I see people from time to time on social media like, hey, hit me up in my mailbag if you want to ask questions. And they do whole columns on this. And that's okay. I mean, I get it. That's what some people do, fishing for content. But our text line is always open, and you can always ask questions there, even if it's off topic. We may take a while for us to get back to it, but we always try to keep an eye on what's going on there. So 435-339-0321 if you've got something you want to throw our way. But for the next little bit, we're going to focus on Utah Hockey Club, as we've had a friend of the program, Keith Schertz, join us. He follows the Utah Hockey Club. He has his own YouTube channel, and does updates and recaps on there, and he's been a friend of the program to let us know what's going on with hockey, as many are trying to understand the sport, or specifically how this Utah Hockey Club is progressing as the season goes on. So, Keith, thanks for your time today.
Hey, thanks for having me on Full Court Press. What a time. Here we go.
So I know the season is winding down. There's an outside chance. I know it's slim, but there still appears to be an outside chance this team could make the playoffs. Is that accurate, or was I having a weird dream last night?
Mathematically accurate. Reality inaccurate. Yeah, I think I mean, you have to hold on to hope. They're going to compete in every way they can. But the St. Louis Blues just decided that they don't know how to lose anymore. And they really needed the St. Louis Blues to lose a few of these games. And they are lava hot. They've got a 10-game winning streak going. Utah is mathematically out if their maximum points at this point. If they go 7-0 the rest of the way, that gets them to 94 points. So it's wins and losses. So if the Blues win 3 more games, Utah's out. If Utah loses 3 more games, they're out. So that's the stakes with 7 games left.
So, and one thing I want to ask, like, if Utah ends up missing the playoffs, which it seems like that's going to happen, like, what's kind of the overall feel of this first season for the hockey club? Because imagine the goal was to kind of maybe sneak into the back end of the playoffs because it was a young team. You know, obviously new location, trying to figure things out. Had a chance at the playoffs, but even in the likelihood that they miss them, does the season feel like a failure, or is it just like this is just part of the upward rise and it'll be much more of a goal for next year?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. You know, at the beginning of the year, the general manager, Bill Armstrong, they had 2 goals. One, to pull off an inaugural season in a new market, and I think by and large, I think everyone would say that it's been a really good success, that the work that's been done by the organization to get the program to come off the way that it has, to have all the initiatives that they have, the things that they've announced with the hockey rinks being built around the state, and just all the different ways which they've gathered fan engagement in this first year. That has been a huge success. Now, for the on-ice part, Bill Armstrong was always clear that he wanted to have them in the position that they were with 15 games left, which is to be right in the playoff hunt. And there was a group of four teams, the Canucks, the Flames, Utah Hockey Club, and St. Louis Blues, who were all within a couple points of each other. And they were supposed to be duking it out down the stretch in the wild card hunt, but the Blues, as I mentioned, right, the Blues just went on a crazy hot streak, and that hunt they'd be right in it if the Blues played kind of to their typical level the rest of the season. But as it relates to everything, they had some really meaningful games. They've had opportunities to learn what these young guys are made of in some nut crunch scenarios, and they are finding ways to build upon some experience that they needed Logan Cooley and Dylan Gunther and the like to experience as they grow up and develop their games at the National Hockey League level.
So, and that's this progression of the franchise. This was a team that was mired in not even mediocrity over the last few years in Arizona, but it was a team that was going through the youth movement the last few years, and they seem to be pretty excited about the youth that they were bringing in. And now we've seen these younger players play larger roles and play, be a team that it was at some point in the hunt for the playoffs, with a mix of some veteran guys in here too. But let's first focus on the younger players of this roster and giving them meaningful opportunities in this new venue, in this new town for this hockey club.
Yeah, so, everything begins with the conversation around Logan Cooley. They used a third overall pick on Cooley in the draft. He's a center, so he plays the most important position on the ice. Maybe goalie, you could argue, is more important, but has the opportunity to be a top-line center and be the kind of player that can be a two-way force, creating goals and taking away goals on both ends. And this season, we've really seen that he has taken an extra step forward, in particular defensively. While his offensive numbers are up, the big development for Logan Cooley this season has come in his defensive output. He is doing things to take away offensive chances for the teams that he's against. And then the other really key thing that we learned about Logan Cooley this year is there's an edge to this 20-year-old kid that drives other teams crazy. And so he gets under the skin. Think Joakim Noah style, okay? He gets under people's skin. They do not like playing against Logan Cooley. And so it's been fun to watch him kind of be an agitator out on the ice. And then more recently, we have always played a heavy next to him, like Jack McBain, just in case things got out of control. We needed somebody to protect the franchise future kid on the ice. But Logan Cooley in the last 10 games has done a lot of taking care of himself out there. And that is a huge thing for Logan Cooley to develop as we go forward, because it gives flexibility to who you can play him with. And so it's been a really positive development from Logan Cooley this season. I've been very happy with his play.
One thing I'm kind of curious about, because when we look at the development of hockey, it has a lot more similarity to baseball, where you draft a guy and then you don't see him for maybe 2 or 3 years. But as we look at guys that are in the minors, are there any guys who were maybe higher draft picks a while back that may end up seeing a call up maybe next year, guys that might be ready to take that step up that we should be watching out for?
Yeah, it'll be an interesting thing to see how it works. They have 2 players right now who are finishing up their contracts in Russia. They both play for the same team over there. Lokomotiv is their team, and the KHL. But Dmitry Shimashev is a defenseman. He potentially play on the blue line, and typically Russians don't like to come over and just play in the AHL and be down in Tucson and hope they can work their way in the NHL. They're playing at the top professional level in Russia. So if they, do indeed this offseason decide to come over to the United States, and I know that they probably are interested in doing that, they typically want to have an NHL contract. So it's interesting. Utah has 6 NHL defensemen under contract for next season already, and typically you only dress 6. So it'll be interesting to see what they do about Dmitry Shimashev. He's considered the top prospect for the Utah Hockey Club. The other guy is a great player, Sniper, big player, 6'5", power forward style player, and his name is Daniel Butts. And probably Boots, but anyway, B-U-T. But Dan, I think we're all going to call him, I guess Boots. I don't know what will happen, but probably people will call him Butt.
Yeah, gotta be careful how you pronounce that sometimes.
But anyway, Daniel Boot, he had a great scoring season this year for Locomotive, and could definitely fit in as a rookie next year. But again, it'll be interesting. There's only a couple roster spots open, and Utah Hockey Club has like $9 million in cap space going into the off season. And so, and there is reported ambition to try to go get a big fish in free agency.
And kind of help me. I mentioned the $9 million. My reference for how much money that is as far as cap space isn't very great with the NHL. Like, how much money is that relative to everyone else, and what kind of players can you typically get with that kind of money?
Yeah, all-star players make around $8.5 million. So the top 10 players are $10 million a year players. And so on this team that they have, Mikhail Sergachev makes around $8 million, and Clayton Keller makes just a little bit less, around $8 million as well. So you can get a very, very good hockey player.
So they can be very aggressive.
Yeah. Would they look to spend most of that on cap space on one player, or is it more like, they're not going to get an all-star level, but like one or two starting caliber players, if that's the right way to phrase that?
Yep. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm fascinated with the prospect of what the free agency is going to mean for Utah Hockey Club. We don't know the answer to this really yet. They weren't really in the market last year, and they did most of their damage by trade. This year, we're going to see. We're going to see. Now, in the NBA, of course, when Carlos Boozer is the best free agent you've ever been able to attract, it's clear that attracting high-level free agents to Utah has been difficult. And so the question is would a star player playing for Toronto like Mitch Marner consider coming and playing for the Utah Hockey Club? Toronto can't re-sign him. They don't have the space. So he's going somewhere else. And so there's been a lot of talk about a 35 goals a year winger on the market on a team like Utah. That might make a ton of sense. And so the question is he interested in coming and playing for the Utah Hockey Club? And we're going to find that out. I don't know.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good thing.
Again, we're talking to Keith Schertz. He hosts Hive State Hockey on YouTube and does a lot of live streams after games for reactions and other player breakdowns and other details about what's going on with the Utah Hockey Club. And Keith, I wanted to ask you about the goalie situation. It looked like there was a pretty good group of goalies in there, but Connor Ingram taking himself out of the situation to seek some additional support that he needed. And Vejmelka has just been an Iron Man lately. What are you hearing about what's going on with the goalie situation to finish out the year and just what the future may hold?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Usually you don't want to play a goalie as much as they're playing Karel Vejmelka right now. Like all of us, we go to the grocery store, we like our veggies fresh, and that's how we like our goalie too, right? So I would say that it is the longest streak of started games in a row since 2019. That's what we're seeing right now out of Veggie. The biggest pro argument for it is that Bill Armstrong has tried to argue that in the playoffs, you want your number one goalie playing every single game. And so with that ambition, and they've extended Vejmelka for 4 years, the idea here is let's get him some practice on what it is to have to go every single night and play well. And there's been good nights and there's been bad nights. And so it'll be an interesting thing to see how that goes. I was interested in hoping to see Villalta, the backup. He's an AHL prospect. I would love a chance to see him play, but they seem pretty committed to letting Karel Vejmelka continue to sweat it out every night.
So the Utah Hockey Club announced today that they are going to be doing their first ever season-ending team awards, and they're going to announce these at their final home game against Nashville coming up here in like a week.
There's only 4 more home games.
Yeah, it's this season's like right. Well, the end is right here. So I know you and I, we talked before we got you on the air here that you hadn't seen this yet. So we're going to spring this on you and see how you might vote on these. So the first one is Team MVP. And this is according to the Utah Hockey Club. To the player selected by his teammates as Utah Hockey Club's most valuable player, the team MVP contributes to the team's success on and off the ice. So who would get your vote for that award?
Well, so Clayton Keller has led the way this season. He's at 80 points. If you can be a point-per-game player in the NHL, that makes you one of the best forwards in the game. So Clayton Keller's gone out. He's had a tremendous year. But if we're talking about the player who is, I think, third in the NHL in game-winning goals, always finds a way to score in the most dramatic moment, and seems to always score the big goal, that always seems to be Dylan Guenther. So, and then the other candidate, just to tell you, would be Vejmelka, just because of the tremendous work he's done in net throughout the season. But I think this would probably needs to go to Clayton Keller.
So the next is the 3 Stars Award. To the player most crucial to the team's on-ice performance, the 3 Stars Award recognizes the Utah Hockey Club player with the most post-game star honors throughout the season. So that seems more of a statistical thing. I don't know how fans vote on that. But how does a player receive star honors throughout the season?
Yeah, I think my understanding of how that works is they turn that over to the Pro Hockey Writers Association, and they pick one of the hockey writers who's part of the Pro Hockey Writers Association, and they get to decide the 3 stars of the game. And so the way that works is as soon as the game finishes, they turn in and who the 3rd star is, the 2nd star, and the 1st star of the game. If you don't know, the 3rd star is the 3rd best player, 2nd star is 2nd, and 1st is 1st star. So, yeah, I don't know who. I actually do not know who has had the most star games for this team this year. But again, I guess my assumption would probably be because they like points, and so since Clayton Keller has the most points on the team, there's a very good chance he might win that one as well.
So there's another one that he probably, because there's literally one that's just the leading scorer award, and I'm wondering how on earth you vote for that. But I'm gonna skip that one because I want to move to another one that might be interesting. This one is called the Community Obsessed Award, to the player who is most active in the community and shows up around Utah in the same way that fans show up for Utah Hockey Club. Who do you feel like tends to be the most community obsessed out of all these players?
Sean Dursey, I think, has done a very good job of kind of reaching out into the community and being part of it. So out on the blue line, he's been really involved in the community. He had time because he was recovering from an injury, so maybe that gives him some advantage. But I know that his personality and his desire is to be part of this community, and he's been very kind about his adventures coming from Ontario to being in LA, to then being in Arizona, and now here he is. So, yeah, I think he's enjoyed being here. He's been a good, positive force, and I would think it's Sean Dursey.
To clarify, some of these awards are voted on by teammates. Some will just be handed out because of statistical stuff that's out there. But one that they are really encouraging fan voting on is this last one. It's called the All In Award. And that's the player who leaves it all on the ice from the opening puck drop to the final buzzer. This Utah Hockey Club player gives everything they have at every opportunity. And there's a fixed number of players who have already been identified that fans can vote on. That's Barrett Hayton, Jack McBain, Ian Cole, or Ollie Mata.
Wow, interesting. Okay. To me, there's 2 choices out of that, okay? It's either Jack McBain or it's Barrett Hayton. And the answer here is Do you like fights? Then Jack McBain. He has been the guy who has answered the bell over and over again, who has taken fights against guys who are no fun to take fights against, and he's acquitted himself just fine in all of those. And so as a young player working his way into the league, he has been a hardworking player. He's got 12 goals as well. And if he could develop into a guy who could really be an enforcer, I mean, there's guys like Liam O'Brien, Spicy Tuna is his nickname. He's famous for fighting, but he doesn't win them. People are anxious to take those fights, if that makes sense. Now, I don't want to fight Liam O'Brien, but other NHL players seem fine with it. They don't really want to fight Jack McBain. And having a guy like that on your team that can be an enforcer in those ways, that's huge. And being willing to take that is no fun at all. And so there's a real great case to be made for him. Barrett Hayton is an interesting case, be it from an advanced stat perspective. Barrett Hayton has had the best season of any NHL or any player on the Utah Hockey Club. He, and from an advanced stat perspective, you like to look at scenarios where they're in 5-on-5, right? Because the power play, obviously, if you get ice time with the power play, that inflates your offensive numbers. If you are on the ice for shorthanded, it deflates your numbers. And so 5-on-5 is kind of the most fair way to determine what a value of a player is. And there's a stat called expected goals, which is basically based on where they got the puck and the shot they were able to take, how many goals should they take, or how many goals should they score in that scenario. And so this season, Barrett Hayton is a top 10 NHL player in 5-on-5. Here are the names that are right around him, okay? He is right next to Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon for 5-on-5 expected goals, two of the very best players in the entire world. And so what he is doing to work hard and get into spaces to have the potential to score has been huge. And it's mostly coming on rebounds and getting to kind of ugly places on the ice. Now, his development is, can he finish those things? And if he does, he'll go from being like a $4 million a year player to an $8 million a year player. But that's something to watch for him next season as he develops, is he's getting lots of chances to score and score in a big way. And he doesn't seem to be burying it, but he's getting them because he's working so hard on the ice. So I'll give it to Barrett Hayton because I like guys that give you a chance to score lots of goals more than fighters.
Well, folks fans can vote up until April 8th on these awards, particularly the All-In Award. But Keith, last question for me is just, this team has 7 games left. They've got a four-game home stand here before they finish 3 games on the road. So the last 4 games, one of them tonight against the Kings. What are you wanting to see out of this team as they finish out the season?
Yeah, well, we want to see them. You want to see them take advantage of their opportunities as they come down the stretch. Obviously, they need to have a stretch of games where they can put together a lot of wins in a row. The longest win streak they've had this year is 4. That's it. They've only won 4 games in a row at any point this season. They have a 2-game win streak right now. I think if there could be a period of time where there's a sustained level of success, where it's not just 4 games in a row at its peak, but it needs to be the sort of experience where this team runs off a 5 or 6 game win and then loses 1 or maybe 2 and then gets back in the groove and winning again. And so that, to me, is the thing that they've missed this year, obviously. They've let too many points go wayward. They have a hard time holding on to leads. And so as they're playing these games late in the season, that ability to continue to stack games and win consistently, that'll be the thing that'll make the difference for the Utah Hockey Club in future seasons. And Yeah, I think that's where they're at. And then just if we like cheering for people to get their money, and we do, Logan Cooley is very close to triggering another $250,000 for himself if he can get one more assist and then 3 more points and hit the 60-point mark this season. He would get $500,000 if he can have those 2 things happen for him in the next 7 games. So if you wonder why he's skating so hard out there, he was slated to make $900,000. He has a chance to earn an extra $500,000 this year if he can get those 2 milestones in the final week of the season.
It's a pretty good incentive.
Yeah, he's motivated. Well, Keith, we appreciate the insights as always. And for folks who want to learn more about what's going on at the Utah Hockey Club, go check him out on Hive State Hockey on YouTube. Great detail there. As soon as the after the buzzers, what you call them, these post game live streams where folks can chime in and watch how you're breaking down what happened with 7 games left for the Utah Hockey Club. And we're going to have some of those games here on 106.9 The Fan as we conclude their inaugural season in Utah. Thanks again, Keith. Always a pleasure.
Hey, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and go UHC.
All right, quick timeout on the Full Court Press, and we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Ashley with LSS Insurance. Medicare can seem complicated, but it doesn't have to be. Let us help. We'll answer all your questions and get you specific information that fits your needs. Medicare is not one size fits all. We'll help you find the right coverage for you. Call 752-9493. You can ignore the TV and the junk mail. We'll get you the exact information you need. We will help you access the benefits that are important to you. Call LSS Insurance at 752-9493.
Are you looking for compassionate and reliable care for yourself or a loved one? Look no further than Aegis Home Health and Hospice. I'm Tom Sherlock, a licensed social worker, part of the dedicated team of professionals committed to meeting the needs of our community. Voted best in Northern Utah 2 years in a row, we pride ourselves on delivering exceptional service that you can depend on. We're here to ensure comfort and dignity every step of the way. When it comes to your health, choose the agency that Northern Utah trusts the most. Choose Aegis. Visit myaegis.com or call today 435-723-9000.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. Life is good. Life at My Mattress is good too. Why might I say that? Because today is a good day to slay a Goliath. The other day I went into a mattress store here in Logan that has 2,500 stores across the country. I'd say that's a Goliath. We were 20% less expensive on every bed that we both offer. We may not have 2,500 stores, but we are number 1 in Cache Valley. Better product and better prices. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally? Only at My Mattress.
It doesn't matter who you root for. The Full Court Press has all the high school sports covered. The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, streaming on 1069thefan.com and the 1069 The Fan mobile app. Lots of different ways to tune in and be a part of the show as well on the Young Power Sports of Logan text line, 435-339-0321. Always a friend, I started to read the text.
Yeah, you did.
Always fun to talk to Keith Schertz about what's going on with the Utah Hockey Club. Hive State Hockey on YouTube is where you can follow his breakdowns and his the videos that he puts out there about the Utah Hockey Club and what they've been doing so far. And yes, 5338. I was preemptively reading your text while I was speaking. I am also a friend of the program. When you talk Utah Hockey Club, when you talk Utah Jazz, I become an enemy of the program.
Who are you? Are you a fan of an NBA team that's not the Jazz? 5338?
I don't know. And then 2444 sent this in. Stephen Ashworth is about to compete at the men's college 3-point shootout at the Final Four. Do you guys think he takes home the title?
I mean, it's entirely possible. The thing about 3-point shootouts is that you can't just look at a person's 3-point shooting percentage and then say, all right, this person's a favorite and this person's next. Because, 3-point contest is just kind of a different animal from shooting 3-pointers in a game. Because, mind you, there are guys who will walk into a gym and make like 80 3-pointers in a row. But then they'll shoot like 33% in a game. And it's just like there's a whole different aspect to, especially when you do these 3-point contests, or they're kind of sped up, so you're shooting 5 threes in quick succession, quick break, 5 more, and whatnot, running around. There's the pressure. So Stephen Ashworth, obviously very capable 3-point shooter. There's also some other fantastic 3-pointers. Tyler McGee, who obviously Utah State saw him. And if I remember right, McGee had a pretty good game against the Aggies, helping UC San Diego win in the Spectrum. So, and I assume, I don't necessarily know the percentages. Oh, is it McGuy?
It's McGuy.
Oh, I thought it was McGee. It's spelled weird, but I don't necessarily know specifically all these other players as far as what their season was like, because I didn't watch them, but I assume they are all fantastic 3-point shooters.
I appreciate 2444 for sending us the list of players participating, and one of those are like, this was a player who was playing a game yesterday in Las Vegas, and he's participating in the 3-point shootout today in San Antonio. That's Patrick McCaffrey. He plays for Butler. Butler played Boise State yesterday in the college basketball crown, and McCaffrey was 3 for 5 from 3 in their 7-point loss against the Broncos just yesterday in the college basketball crown.
The funny thing is, I couldn't look this up in the moment, but I imagine several of these players may not have actually qualified for the college 3-point percentage leaderboard, unless they've changed the criteria of late. But the last time I checked, which was like a year or so ago, the criteria to be on the 3-point percentage leaderboard is that you have to average 3 made 3-pointers a game. Like, do you know how many that actually is?
It's going to narrow it down.
Like, if you shoot 35%, you have to take like 8 threes a game. Like, it's crazy. Like, how many threes you have to take and make to get on the leaderboard. It's a ridiculous requirement. And I hope that they have changed it. Because, otherwise, some of these guys probably wouldn't even rank on the leaderboard. Let me see if Stephen Ashworth actually ranks on the leaderboard.
So, I'm actually looking to see 3-point percentage. Tyler Lundblade from Belmont has the highest 3-point percentage. 3-pointers per game is Abdi Bashir from Monmouth. He averages 3.85 makes per game, 3-point makes. And then total 3-pointers made in the season goes to Hunter Huff at Chattanooga. I don't know that I see any of those names that I just said that's in the 3-point shootout for various different statistical reasons, where they are ranked as the top in college basketball. But Robert Davis Jr. from Old Dominion is first in 3-point attempts. He's not shooting in the 3-point shootout. So, I don't know. Some of these guys I know are good shooters. Stephen Ashworth, that'll be fun to see how well he participates, how well he performs in that. Like we said, Tyler McGuy, he was a very solid 3-point shooter. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, the predicting 3-point contest winners is kind of a crapshoot, but they're fun. It's like it's a fun event to see. They have a dunk contest as well?
Yeah, apparently they do. I don't know who's participating in that.
Probably some very athletic players. It's fun to watch dunk contests. Hopefully they're creative and get a chance to show off their athleticism. Maybe it'll be better than what the NBA puts on.
So it's the college slam dunk, and 3-point championships that are going on.
And there's like 3 sponsorships for this thing. I'm looking at the logo. There's one sponsor. Then there's the 3-point contest has another sponsor. I'm deliberately not saying them, by the way.
So for the Kings Hawaiian Slam Dunk Championship.
So there's 3 sponsors.
I don't really. These are mostly mid-major, low-major players
in the dunk contest?
Participating in the dunk contest. So don't really recognize Any of these names?
I mean, I don't recognize the names of the guys in the high major schools. Of course, heck, the 3-point contest. How many of these guys are mid-major? 1, 2, 3. I guess 3.
But there's a good number of power conference representation.
I was saying like Yale, Kent State, and UC San Diego, but then it's like all the others are high major.
They do have a women's 3-point championship that's happening as well this weekend.
Don't have a women's dunk contest?
No dunk contest for the ladies. Not this year.
I know there are ladies in the college ranks who can dunk it. They exist.
They can dunk.
Where are they at?
But I don't know if they can do.
Because I've seen high school girls. I've seen high school girls in the McDonald's slam dunk contest. For high school, their all-star event.
There you have it.
So somebody out there can dunk, I know.
Yeah.
Get them in the dunk contest.
For those who want to watch, it's underway now, apparently. It started at 5 o'clock on ESPN.
Well, best get to it, but still be listening to our show for the next 35 minutes.
Yes. Yeah. So we'll see what happens here. There's also a hot shot challenge. I don't know what the hot shot challenge is.
Is that just like around the world or something?
I don't know.
Some attempt to replicate the skills challenge, but in a unique way. Just some other kind of random cobbled together list of things that you have to do. Hit a layup, hit a 3-pointer, hit a turnaround fadeaway, hit a half-court shot. Always got to throw a half-court shot in there.
Who knows?
Because that adds a random element.
Yes.
Unless you're Chris Bosh in the skills contest and make 2 out of 3 half-court attempts the attempted.
They will. I do give them credit for this. The winners of the men's 3-point shootout will compete against the women's 3-point champions, and there'll be a battle of champions is what they call it.
Does the winner get NIL?
I don't know.
Is there, I guess, prize? Wouldn't be NIL, just be prize.
I'm sure they earn something.
Are they all getting NIL? Because like this is a contest. It's like an endorsement. You're endorsing all these different brands that are sponsoring this thing. Are you paying them for it? Probably should, because that's what NIL is. Pay them for this stuff. That's what NIL is supposed to be, not some booster giving you $300,000 so you can wash his car or whatever. Like,
you might make a cryptic social media post.
Yeah, something like that.
All right, we got to take a time out here in the Full Court Press. And when we come back, spring sports for high school, they're in full swing. We're into conference play now. And in fact, a lot of the RPI rankings have started to be released. So what are the current rankings of our local Region 11 high school teams across various sports? Not all of the RPI have been released for these various sports, but we'll update you on those that have been and where do Region 11 teams stand in those rankings next here on the Full Court Press.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. This is a story that came to us from a real customer, and I wanted to share it with you.
I'm a new CPAP user. The only thing I knew about CPAP when I walked in the door was that I didn't want to wear one. The introductory class with the respiratory therapist at Alpine was great. I left feeling confident and less intimidated by the whole process.
We love hearing about your experiences. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Disasters don't wait for a convenient time. When the unexpected strikes, call the trusted team at Blue Sky. Remember, Blue Sky is that same great ARS team you know and trust.
This is Tom with Blue Sky Restoration. When disaster strikes, whether it's a flood, fire, mold damage, or an unforeseen accident, Blue Sky will clean up, repair, and restore your home or business like it was before. No disaster is too big or too small. For all your restoration needs, you can trust our Blue Sky team.
Winter is almost over, and the Sportsman on Main Street has tons of season-ending deals. All skis and ski boots are 40% off. If you need outerwear, it is up to 50% off. All fall and winter casual clothing is up to 70% off. At the Sportsman, we have truly unique clothing and outerwear, so you won't see yourself coming and going. It's our season-ending sale going on right now, only at the Sportsman on Main in downtown Logan.
Welcome, friend, nice to see you again at the Sportsman.
Join the show by calling 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker. Spring sports in full swing. Now, early on when spring sports get going, for some of these, it's a question about, can you get on the field? Can you really compete? So some of these teams, it takes a while to actually see them for locals because they have to go on tournaments in Southern Utah or play other places. And we're still subject to weather affecting some of these teams, but there's enough games that have been played now where the UHSAA RPI rankings are out for a lot of these teams. Now, they haven't released the rankings yet for boys volleyball or boys soccer. The boys soccer RPI will be revealed tomorrow at 10 a.m., and then boys volleyball RPI Saturday at 10 a.m. So, but we do have the current region standings for those to go through. But we do have the RPI for a lot of other sports that are ongoing. And let's start off with baseball. As typically teams from Southern Utah do well at the early going, and they've got a strong tradition of having successful programs in baseball. But right now, Ridgeline is coming in at number 3 in the latest RPI rankings, as they are 11-2 so far on the season. Desert Hills, pretty good lead on everybody else. They're at 15-1 so far on the season. Snow Canyon at number 2, Ridgeline at number 3. Next highest region team, and this is Mountain Crest, coming in at 11 in the RPI, and followed by Westfield at number 12, Bear River at number 14. And then there's a bit of a gap here with a couple other teams of the region kind of struggling in baseball. Skyview at 22, Logan at 23, Green Canyon at 24. Neither Logan has not yet won a game in baseball. Green Canyon has only won one game in baseball.
Yeah, so you basically got your 3 tiers. You got Ridgeline, who's kicking around with the contenders for the state title. You got Mountain Crest, Westfield, Bear River, all kind of vying for who's going to be in second, or second in the standings, or second in terms of RPI. And then you got your unfortunately teams that are having, in terms of wins and losses, what may be a forgettable season. So, but yeah, it is good to see at least one Region 11 team up there with the contenders. Baseball's been a sport that Region 11 has struggled a bit at to get a contender. I know Bear River, I think, has had some good seasons in baseball.
Mountain Crest has had years before where they've been very strong.
It's been a while. That's the problem. I think 2021, was one of the last times I remember them making a run or having a chance to make a run. Maybe I'm misremembering. There's a lot of sports seasons rattling around in my head. But it's good to see at least one Region 11 team gunning to be a contender. We'll see if they can, handle. You look at a team like Desert Hills, their RPI is just way above everyone else. You mentioned they're 15-1, but obviously their winning percentage is really high, but they have one of the best opponents' winning percentage. So not only have they won a lot of games, they've played one of the tougher schedules in all of 4A. So they're clearly a good team in terms of baseball.
Yeah, and the girls' version of that would be softball. And looking at the softball RPI, Bear River, very strong tradition of competing at the highest level for softball, and it really hasn't changed so far this year, where they are the number 1 team in the RPI rankings right now, with the Desert Hills right on their heels. Bear River is 14-1, Desert Hills 16-1. But again, RPI factors in not just your winning percentage, but your opponents and your opponents' opponents. So right now, Bear River at number 1, Westfield at number 6, Logan at number 7, Ridgeline at number 9, and Skyview at number 11. So very competitive Region 11 for softball right now. A little bit of a gap, and then there's Green Canyon at 18, Mountain Crest at 20. But some very competitive softball being played here in Northern Utah.
Yeah, and we've seen some really strong softball teams where baseball has had its moments, but maybe not as much recently. Softball has been consistently strong here in Cache Valley. Bear River, obviously, forever. Not as dominant as I remember. Well, last year they still made a bit of a run, didn't they? I know Ridgeline
had a very good year.
Yeah, Ridgeline was elite. They had some elite players, not converting as much on the win-loss column, even though they still have some elite prospects on the team. Logan's interesting because, they're sitting at 7-6 on the season, but their RPI has them in 7th, partly because they have, of anyone in 4A, they have the toughest schedule they've played so far. Their opponents have won 72% of their games. And I think nobody else has an opponent's winning percentage north of 65% or 65.2%. And that's actually Skyview, funnily enough, another team from Region 11.
Yeah.
So Logan's played a murderer's row schedule compared to a lot of the teams, but still pulling off a winning record despite it all.
Yeah, and they beat Ridgeline just the other day as well. So that's the softball RPI, Bear River at number 1 overall. And you're going to hear that name called a few more times. Bear River Spring Sports doing very strong. Bear River coming in at number 2 in girls lacrosse RPI, just behind Hurricane. Now, this is the first year that, if I'm not mistaken, first year the teams down in Region 9 in Southern Utah, it's their first year with lacrosse as a sanctioned sport for them. And Hurricane jumping out of the gates as the top-ranked school so far. But they do have one loss on their record. Bear River does not. Bear River is the lone undefeated team in girls lacrosse, but they're currently ranked number 2. Then Logan coming in at number 9, Ridgeline at 11, Skyview at 15, Green Canyon at 19, Mountain Crest 20th, Westfield 22nd. And a number of teams here, Green Canyon, Mountain Crest, they haven't been able to get a win yet, but they're playing tough competition. So because of the teams that they've faced, they're up a little bit above some of these other teams who do have some victories. But Bear River does have a strong girls lacrosse tradition, and this year doesn't seem to be any different.
Yeah, and you look at the bottom, there are some teams that are really struggling. A lot of teams, 19 and below, that either have no wins or maybe one win. Lacrosse is still a fairly new sport, so you're going to have some teams where some of these guys haven't played lacrosse until maybe they picked up a stick in their high school tryouts. It's just a natural progression of the sport, so you can be a bit top-heavy. Bear River, they've been dominant in lacrosse. They've been fantastic. And, yeah, second in RPI, even with the 7-0 record, that mainly has to do with their opponent's winning percentage. It's very, very low, especially relative to Hurricane. But in the end, if you're undefeated, let the RPI be the RPI. If you don't have any losses, you're the best.
Boys lacrosse, Bear River, again, they're at number 2 in the ratings that have been revealed. Waterford is number 1. They're 4-0. Bear River is 6-1. But right on their heels is Westfield. They're at 6-2. And Skyview at number 5. Mountain Crest at number 6. Green Canyon at number 8. And then Ridgeline at 13, Logan at 17. So lacrosse here in Northern Utah, there's a lot of oh my gosh, you got 4 teams in the top 6. So very good competition. 5 teams in the top 10. Very good competition whenever these region teams face each other.
Yeah, I love looking at these RPIs and seeing times where Region 11 has as you mentioned, 4 of the top 6 to be like, dang, that's a good region. Where it's just they may end up beating each other up. They'll be split in series and fighting up until the very last game to determine a region champion. That's what I love to see is competition. Not just competition for region, but having the best in the region, best in the state, all in the same region. That's just something I absolutely love to see. So boys lacrosse, obviously doing pretty fantastic so far this season.
And then we don't have the RPI yet, but just to highlight a few things with boys volleyball.
The reason we don't have the RPI is because it hasn't happened yet.
Well, right, yeah, because it's boys volleyball will be on Saturday, boys soccer on Friday. But right now, the current standings, Skyview is they are undefeated in region play. They're 5-0, 10-5 overall. Ridgeline is also undefeated in region play, 9-7. Overall, but Green Canyon, they do have a few losses in region, but 12-5. So some very good volleyball being played in Region 11. And kind of similar with boys soccer, you've got 3 teams all right there close together doing very well. Ridgeline is 5-1 overall, undefeated in region play. Skyview is 3-1 in region, 5-4 overall. And Green Canyon 5-1, 2-0 in region play. So Some very good sports and competition really at the top level here in the region. So that's the latest on what's going on with spring sports in Region 11 and Northern Utah. Another quick timeout. We'll be right back. I guess we've got an update on how Stephen Ashworth has done.
We do.
So we'll update you on that next on the Full Court Press.
Spring. It's time to get those old rusted vehicles moved. Call DD Auto and Salvage and get paid for moving that old rusted out junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it easy and fast, paying you the most money possible. Pickup is available. DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204. That's 787-1204 today. See store for details.
This is Brent Wallace with Cache Valley Bank, and we understand that concerns about fraud can weigh heavily on you. Your peace of mind is important to us. That's why we're committed to looking out for you and your family. Our team keeps a vigilant eye on your account, and if you ever have concerns or need support, we're just a call or visit away. Whether you need advice or just someone to talk to, our friendly staff is ready to help. We're more than just a bank. We're your neighbors, and we care about your security. Visit your local branch today. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
This is Jordan with Primrose Home Care and Hospice, and I'm here with Barbara. Barbara, how did you become acquainted with Primrose?
I had been trying to get another company to come and help me, and I had waited about 2 weeks, and I needed a bath. My neighbor suggested that she would make a few phone calls, and that very afternoon, Mark Stokes was sitting in my front room, and he said, "What do you need?"
Primrose Home Care and Hospice. We're your home team.
S.E. Needham Jewelers is where Utah gets engaged. Couples throughout the state buy their rings from S.E. Needham Jewelers because of our low prices, extensive ring selection, and extraordinary benefits and services with financing available. Go to seneedham.com to learn more. We have many unique and beautiful engagement rings starting at $500. You'll find affordable engagement rings with our integrity price guarantee. This is why we are where Utah gets engaged. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, 2444. Thank you for sending this along. It looks like Stephen Ashworth has made it through to the second round in the three-point shootout. Cam Carter with 22 points, Tyler McGuy with 20, Caleb Grill with 20, and Stephen Ashworth with 19. But he does make it above the cut line, so he advances. So best of luck to Stephen Ashworth.
Yeah, see how well he does. This is final taste of college basketball. He's finally going to be done, at least I think. Pretty sure.
Pretty sure.
Can't tell anymore, but I'm pretty sure this is his final shot.
All right, it's a Thursday, so it's time for Pick Six.
I bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way.
It's the Full Court Press Pick Six.
Ever since March Madness ended, I am so bored.
6 things we think will happen this weekend.
I don't know how the whole betting thing started, but it's fun.
All right, Jason, you are on a bit of a roll here.
He said excitedly.
But I'm gonna get it this week. I feel good. I feel good about my lines.
Well, I'll let you go first since you're feeling so excited about this.
Ooh, all right. We'll see if you can sense a theme. Okay, in the 5 positive statistical categories: points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks.
All right.
Combined for Cooper Flag versus Houston.
Got to change one of my lines.
Is that one of yours?
I've got points, rebounds, assists.
Well, I'm going all 5 here.
Okay.
So combined, 30.5.
All of them, 30.5?
Combined, yes.
I'm going to go over.
I'll take the under. Janai Broom for Auburn versus Florida. Combined, points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. 30.5.
I'm going to go under.
I'm going to take the over on that one. And then let's go with Tyson Degenhart versus Nebraska. Combined, points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. 30.5.
I'll go over on him.
I'm going to take the under.
All right. I'm going to have to come up with one real quick. I'll probably just do a spread. So let's go with this. Isaiah Collier, points and assists on Friday against the Indiana Pacers. So points and assists, over under 23.5.
Ooh, I like that line. I'm going to take the over.
I'm going to take the under. And then Paige Beckers, her points against UCLA on Friday in the Final Four, over under 29.5. She's averaged 35 over her last 3 games. So I'm taming that down a little bit.
Who's she playing against?
UCLA. 1 seed, UCLA. UConn is a 2 seed.
Yeah.
And she had 40 in a game or 2 ago. Can't remember if it was the last game or the previous one.
I'll take the over.
All right. I think I'll take the over as well. She's absolutely on fire. And then here's an unorthodox one. My rank in the Locker 42 bracket challenge as of Monday before the championship game. We'll set that cutoff line. I'm currently at 159 out of the 966, so I set the line at 159.5.
So if I take the over, that means...
So if I take the over, it means I'll be worse.
You're higher, yeah.
And if I'm lower, it means I'm better.
Yeah. I'll take the... I have no idea who you have in your Final Four.
Do you want me to tell you?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll take the over.
All right. So I was going to take the over as well. Let me be pessimistic. I'll go under. I'll be optimistic.
Yeah, cheer your bracket on.
I picked Duke and Florida to win.
Okay.
So if they both win, I'll definitely be.
Then you'll definitely
be under.
Under, yeah.
We'll see how it goes if some other combination happens. I don't know everybody else's bracket. And then a tiebreaker. I got to come up with one real quick here. Because I had the one line that was Cooper Flagg, points, rebounds, and assists. So let me think of one really quick here. Let me go find a random NBA game.
Okay.
Let's see. The Thunder and the Rockets, they're playing. So let's go ahead and I'll say it's going to be at Houston. So I'll say the Thunder by 3.5 points in this one. Take Oklahoma City by 3.5 or Houston.
I'm going to take the over.
All right. So you're taking
Oklahoma City over, yeah.
I probably set that line 2 weeks. Yeah, Thunder's probably going to win.
I don't know. Houston's really good. It surprised me when I looked earlier today. They are the number 2 team in the West.
Yeah, but 14 games behind the Thunder. so that's pick 6.
There we go. Now, I will not be here on Monday. So you'll have to go through and tabulate and reveal these without me.
Oh, well, I guess I just won. So Eric's not going to fact check me.
Yeah, I'm going to be, I've got a convention I got to go to down in Las Vegas for a couple of days. So I will not be here early part of next week, unfortunately. But we'll still see how we do with our pick 6 through the weekend and trying to predict what will happen over the weekend. But that's going to do it for us here on the Full Court Press today. Appreciate Keith Schertz for joining us earlier on, talking about Utah Hockey Club. It was also fun last hour to hear from Dante Wilkins, new defensive line coach for the Aggies. If you missed that, it's available on our podcast feed. If you missed any of our past interviews, you can go back and listen to them, as we've been able to talk to coaches and players recently.
Yeah, a lot of guys, Jared Calhoun, Jalen Moore.
Yeah.
Both the offensive coordinators, Kevin McGivern, Nick Howell. A lot of interviews we've done in the last few weeks.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun catching up with Jalen Moore, getting his assessment of the basketball team and what he's doing right now, and getting some recognition for what he's doing in developing young basketball players. But that's going to do it for us. We got Utah Hockey Club taking on the LA Kings later tonight here on The Fan.
The home for Skyview Sports. Sports Talk Radio, KLGN Logan, 106.9 FM, 1390.